On this driveway, a worker moves a ladder. As the frame moves, an unsecured power drill resting on top slides loose and drops into the overhead work path. Loose tools should be removed before any elevated structure is moved. Inside a quiet courtyard, pressure is applied near the base of a crumbling brick wall. The weakened structure gives way, filling the area with heavy, loose material. A weakened wall can still hold stored structural force. When pressure is applied near the base, the last support keeping the section upright may shift. Once that support moves, the wall can release in one motion and send loose brick material across the area. Safer demolition begins with checking cracks, judging stability, moving activity away from the release path, and setting a clear area before work begins. Test wall stability before demolition work. Mark clear areas around release paths. Use debris shields where material may shift. On a busy textile factory floor, cleaning takes place near an active spinning machine. Loose fabric contacts the rotating shafts and begins catching on the mechanism. Fast-moving parts can pull in fabric the moment it touches rotation. When loose garments pass near exposed shafts, the material can catch and wind tighter with every turn. The equipment continues with steady power, moving cloth toward the frame faster than reaction can stop it. Cleaning near active spindles should only happen with secured clothing, fixed guards, and separation. Sleeves, scarves, and hanging material must stay away from open rotation before work begins. Secure garments tightly near active equipment. Install solid shields over spinning components. Keep cleaning tools separated from continuous motion. In an unloading area, heavy panels are guided off a delivery truck. The standing stack shifts and releases material into the active work path. Vertical stacks rely heavily on balance when not tied, braced, or separated. When boards lean together, their weight creates a strong sliding force. A small movement near the base can change the stack and send material beside the truck. The nearby path can close before there is time to move clear. Better control comes from binding the stack first, keeping hands and feet out of the release path, and unloading sheets in sections. Secure standing boards with ratchet straps before unloading. Establish clear areas away from vehicle edges. Move heavy sheets individually for control. At a residential construction site, a scissor lift is driven up a makeshift wooden ramp. The incline shifts and the machine loses stability. Mobile elevating platforms need firm, level support to keep their balance. When heavy machines travel onto temporary inclines, the center of gravity changes quickly. If the ramp flexes, slips, or settles, the machine base can no longer stay even. Weight then moves toward the low side, creating a tipping motion with little room to recover. Safer movement depends on rated access routes, checked ground strength, low platform height, and avoiding improvised temporary ramps. In a workshop, maintenance begins beneath a motorized tricycle's raised cargo bed. The heavy structure lowers into the open service space below. Raised vehicle beds should not depend on hydraulic pressure alone for support. A small leak, weak cylinder, worn pin, or control failure can allow the tray to lower without warning. Once the structure begins moving, its weight follows the open space beneath it. In a tight workshop, there is little room to reposition after support is lost. Repair work needs a solid block that can hold the load, plus a check before maintenance. Block raised beds with solid steel props before maintenance. Inspect lifting cylinders for hidden fluid leaks. At an entrance, seating is used on a yellow barrier gate. A delivery cart contacts the frame, and the barrier loses support under the added weight. Traffic barriers are built to guide movement, not to carry seated weight. When a cart or vehicle contacts the frame, the barrier can bend, twist, and rebound quickly. Energy travels through the metal, turning a resting spot into moving equipment. Safer site control means keeping barriers for traffic guidance only, placing seating outside vehicle routes, and treating extendable frames as moving parts. At a recycling plant, access occurs inside a dormant industrial grinder before full isolation. The machine restarts and internal components begin moving beneath the access area. Industrial machines can restart with torque when energy has not been fully isolated. Equipment that appears dormant may still have active controls, stored power, or automatic cycles ready to engage. Once heavy components begin turning, the inside area loses stable footing and pulls loose material toward moving parts. The inside of a grinder is not a workspace until energy is locked, tested, and blocked. Lock all energy sources before entering dormant equipment. Install loud pre-start alarms before movement. On a roadside work area, a forklift moves across uneven ground while carrying a load with the mast raised high. The machine loses lateral stability. A raised mast moves a forklift's center of gravity upward and reduces the angle the machine can safely tolerate. When wheels pass over uneven ground, that higher balance point makes small surface changes serious. The forklift can shift faster than steering, or braking can correct. High loads also add sway, making the machine top-heavy during travel. Keeping the load low gives the tires and frame a better chance to stay stable over bumps. Lower heavy loads near floor level before driving and inspect travel surfaces for dips or debris. In an industrial yard, a walkway passes near a forklift handling stacked containers. The unstable top crate slides free and releases toward the walking route. Stacked heavy materials need balance, binding, and a clear lift plan before movement. Forklifts lifting multiple containers depend on a steady center of gravity to keep each layer in place. If the upper section shifts, it can slide from the forks. The walking path can fill quickly, leaving little space to react. Passing close to active lifting work removes the safe margin needed when loads shift. Safer handling uses strapped stacks, cleared paths, and single-level transport. Bind stacked containers with industrial ratchet straps and establish clear areas during vertical lifting. High on a steep residential roof, access relies on a wooden roof ladder. The fragile frame fails, and the setup begins an uncontrolled downhill slide. Aging timber should be checked carefully before it carries weight above a steep surface. Weather can weaken wood from the inside, leaving cracks, soft spots, or rot that are not obvious during a quick look. When the frame fails, support is lost at once. On slick roof tiles, the angle gives little grip, so equipment and footing can move downhill. Safer roof access uses inspected gear, secured ladders, reliable anchors, and rated equipment. Inspect climbing gear for hidden rot or cracks and use heavy-duty frames for elevated roof tasks. In an unloading area, cabin access begins on a tracked excavator sitting on a transport truck. The engine starts, and the machine begins rolling down the steep loading ramp. Equipment on steep transport ramps depends on secure restraints before entry or startup. Starting the engine can change brake status, release movement, or allow tracks to shift on metal. Gravity can pull the machine down the incline quickly, with little recovery time. Metal tracks may also slide on steep, wet, oily, or dirty ramps. Safer offloading requires flat positioning, chains, track blocks, checked brakes, and clear routing. Secure heavy tracks with tension chains before cabin access and engage secondary brakes before starting the engine. At a construction site, viewing happens near a towering crane lift holding a heavy concrete panel. The frame loses structural stability, sending steel and load material downward. Lifting equipment can fail quickly when pushed beyond rated structural limits. The boom, cables, and frame carry immense tension while holding suspended weight. If any support weakens, the lift can change from controlled movement to structural failure in moments. Downward moving steel and material leave no dependable reaction time inside the lift path. Close viewing positions reduce the space needed to move clear. Safe lifting requires load calculations, inspections, communication, and wide boundaries around the lifting area. Verify exact capacities before raising the weight and inspect the metal beams for hidden stress fractures. In an auto shop, a front guiding directs a moving vehicle into a service bay. The car moves forward suddenly toward the metal workbench. Guiding an active vehicle from the front places the signal position inside the direct travel path. If the driver presses the wrong pedal, brakes respond late, or the floor is slick, the vehicle can move forward in a moment. A tight service bay leaves little clearance between the car and fixed equipment. Standing to the side preserves escape and keeps communication clear outside the path. Safer alignment uses side positioning, clear signals, mirrors, and tire stops. Stand to the side when directing drivers. Install wall mirrors for safer alignment. Bolt firm tire stops into the concrete floor. In a repair yard, tire inflation occurs close to a massive truck wheel. Pressure releases from the tire assembly, sending rapid air and loose material, adding air to heavy rubber builds strong internal pressure inside the tire. If the casing, bead, or rim has hidden damage, it may not contain the stress. A rapid pressure release can travel outward in a wide path from it. Working directly over the tire places the upper area close to release. Because failure can happen without warning, distance and shielding are essential. Safer work uses a cage, extended hose, inspection, and wheel distance. Inflate heavy wheels inside steel safety cages. Use extended hoses to stand farther away. Inspect tire walls for hidden cracks. In a quiet workshop, a loaded transport frame is pulled across the floor. The towering weight loses balance and tips forward across the path. Tall frames carrying materials have a center of gravity that can shift quickly. When the frame is pulled from the front, the load may move past its balance point before the wheels can follow. Once momentum takes over, the weight continues with more force than hand control can manage. A blocked wheel, uneven floor, or sharp pull increases the chance of tipping. Safer movement uses side control, slow travel, secured materials, checked wheels, and clear routing. In a fabrication shop, hot work seals a steel tank. Pressure inside the vessel releases, creating a sudden pressure release event across the workspace. Heating enclosed metal containers can expand trapped gases or activate hidden vapors inside the shell. Even when the outside looks clean, fumes may remain in seams, residue, or low areas. If pressure rises while the vessel is sealed, the metal has no safe path to vent. The shell can open quickly and send force through the work area. Safer hot work on tanks requires cleaning, air testing, ventilation, open ports, and a permit process. Flush enclosed spaces with fresh air before work. Test the inside for invisible fumes. Open access ports so pressure can escape. On an active street, a scooter moves behind a reversing paving machine. The heavy steel drum continues backward as small traffic enters the rear travel path. Reversing heavy equipment creates blind spots close to the ground. Smaller vehicles can disappear from the operator's view, especially behind frames, rollers, and steel drums. If traffic enters that hidden space, the machine may continue moving before the operator realizes the path is occupied. The weight and slow stopping response of paving equipment leave little room for recovery. Active paving lanes need separation from public traffic, spotters, barriers, signals, and visual contact before passing. On an extraction site road, foot traffic enters an active haul route and pauses in the lane. A dump truck moves into the same travel path. Large industrial vehicles have elevated cabins that can hide ground-level areas nearby. When foot traffic remains in an active hauling lane, it may disappear from the driver's view. These trucks need long stopping distance because of size, load, and road conditions. Once the vehicle path closes, there is little time for correction. Safer haul roads use separated walking routes, bright visibility clothing, radio contact, marked crossings, and rules keeping foot traffic clear. Build walking paths away from active vehicle. Routes. Wear bright clothing against the terrain. Require radio confirmation before entering haul roads. At an unfit anchors. In a busy warehouse, a forklift lifts a stack of heavy materials before the top surface is fully visually cleared. The load shifts suddenly. Lifting materials without a clear view of the stack creates a serious blind spot. High pallets can hide surfaces that must be checked before forks rise. When the forklift moves, unbalanced weight may slide or separate from the forks. Resting on stored goods changes load behavior and removes the operator's ability to control the lift. Stacks should be checked from all sides before raising, and stored goods should not be used as resting places. Perform a full visual sweep before raising forks. Keep people off stored goods. Sound a warning horn before vertical movement. In a busy warehouse, foot traffic moves ahead of an active forklift. The machine moves unexpectedly into the nearby marked pedestrian travel path without warning. Heavy vehicles carry momentum that prevents instant stopping, especially when loads limit visibility. Walking directly in front of an active forklift places the pedestrian in the machine's forward route. Forks, pallets, and stacked materials can hide the ground-level view from the operator. Once the truck moves, reaction time becomes short in a shared lane. Safer warehouses separate walking paths from driving routes, require eye contact at crossings, and use lights, mirrors, horns, and markings. Paint walking paths separate from driving lanes. Maintain visual contact before crossing transport routes. Install warning lights for approaching traffic. On a dirt road, a crane attempts to lift a semi-truck. The lifting slings fail under pressure, and the heavy vehicle drops offline. Lifting places tension on rigging gear from the moment the load leaves support. If straps are overloaded, damaged, or positioned poorly, they can fail with little warning. That release transfers the full weight back to gravity, causing the vehicle to drop or swing offline. Recovery work becomes unpredictable when ground is uneven and the load shape is awkward. Safer lifting begins with rated gear, correct angles, fray checks, stable ground, and a clear recovery path. Verify strap weight ratings before lifting. Inspect fabric lines for hidden fraying. Maintain wide boundaries around possible release paths. In a busy factory, routine monitoring occurs below overhead transport. A steel block releases from the handling system into the marked work area below. Suspended loads above work areas need strict separation and backup control. Mechanical stress can weaken chains, hooks, jaws, and gripping parts over time. If a support releases, the load becomes a fast, downward-moving object with no reliable warning. The area directly below an active lifter should stay clear because gravity fixes the path. Safer overhead handling uses backup cables, routine inspections, tested lifting points, and permanent floor markings that keep routine tasks out from under suspended material. Install backup safety cables on suspended lifters. Inspect overhead jaws for hidden fatigue. On a street, tree trimming is carried out from a mobile scaffold. A heavy branch rebounds toward the frame and shifts the platform. Cutting heavy timber from a freestanding tower creates a balance problem. Branches may not travel straight down. They can swing, twist, or rebound as fibers split. If moving timber contacts a light scaffold, the force can shift the frame's balance quickly. The platform may move before there is time to stabilize it. Safer tree work from mobile frames requires tie-downs. Separate anchors, planned drop paths, ground clearance, and smaller cut sections before the saw reaches the branch. Secure tall frames with strong tension ropes. At a gas station, positioning occurs near a massive tractor tire inside a pickup truck. Stored pressure releases from the tire and sends rapid air. Pressurized rubber stores a large amount of energy inside the tire wall. Sitting or leaning on the wheel places weight directly above the pressure release path. If the casing hides damage, the material may not contain the internal force. A fast release can send air, rubber, and loose items outward. Because the release gives little warning, safe inflation and handling require distance, shielding, inspection, and positioning away from the wheel face before pressure. Inflate large wheels inside steel safety cages. Use extended air hoses for distance. Inspect walls for deep cracks before adding pressure. At a concrete plant, bulk transfer begins from a pressurized cement tanker truck. The connecting hose coupling releases, sending a thick dust cloud across the work area. Pumping dry material requires strong air pressure to move heavy powder through the line. If a connection clogs, trapped energy searches for the easiest escape path. A weak lock, worn hose, or loose coupling can release quickly under that pressure. The nearby area can fill with dust and force, reducing visibility and control. Safer transfer work uses locked couplings, distance from pressurized lines, steady communication, and hose inspections before airflow begins. Secure all locking mechanisms before starting airflow. Stand away from pressurized lines and inspect rubber hoses for hidden wear. Beside a busy street, a lighting tower stands freely. A strong gust catches the frame and pushes the tall structure toward the roadside traffic path. Temporary frames can become unstable when wind hits broad surfaces. Without anchors, base weight, or tension ropes, the tower depends mostly on balance. A gust can move the center of gravity beyond the base, and the frame may travel across the road before traffic responds. Roadside setups need extra care because vehicles have limited space to avoid obstructions. Safer placement uses bolted base plates, buried anchors, tension lines, weather checks, and clear boundaries around the possible movement path. Bolt base plates into solid concrete. Build wide boundaries around roadside setups. Attach tension ropes to deep anchors. To keep learning from these important workplace safety lessons, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Stay aware, stay safe.